What up, people? What up, people? Welcome to a very special edition of the Salty Thoughts of Mike Steph podcast, featuring the one and only Mike Steph, best in the world at what he does. We are on the eve of a historic moment in New York City history. Hasn't happened in 27 years. The New York Knicks, go New York, go New York, go, have returned to the NBA Finals. It's so apropos that the last time we was in the NBA Finals, we faced off against the San Antonio Spurs in 1999 with a very young Tim Duncan and a end of the road David Robinson and the general, the admiral. Well, the admiral was David Robinson, the general, Avery Johnson. So guess what? We're going to go against the San Antonio Spurs again. So that just gives you one more reason to feel that this is not a fait accompli, but fate in the making. It's a beautiful thing. The city is rocking and rolling. The city is on the verge of explosion in all the positive ways. And I am here to give you the preview of the NBA Finals. Luckily, listen, I had to pull this out the archives. Number 7, Carmelo Anthony. You know how old this shirt is? Adidas used to be the sponsor of the NBA. Now, Nike runs everything with the NBA. That's how old this shirt is. Had to bring in the nice spiffy hat, the whole nine. But with all that being said, you really think I was going to come on this landmark edition by myself? Do you really? I could. But do you really think I was going to when I have such resources out there that can give me insight to the things that I may lack? Listen, I told my nephew the other day, you know what makes a man a real man? Yeah, not bravado, not the gift of tongue, not the gift of gab. What really makes a real man is this: it's the ability to be okay and not be ashamed to learn from others, no matter how old you are, how much experience you have, whether you feel like you're well versed in that topic or whether you're absolute neophyte in that topic. Once you stop growing, once you stop learning, you stop growing. And this brother that I'm about to bring on has taught me and allowed me to learn so many things, both on the court, so to speak, and I admire him even more off the court. So, without further ado, I introduce to you the young OG himself, making his third appearance on the Salty Thoughts of Mike Steph podcast, Desmond, young OG Powell. Yay! I swear, I feel like we're going Kermit the Frog in the Muppet Show. How you doing? Matter of fact, how's everything?
OG, what an intro, man. You know it's mutual. Third time here. Absolutely excited to talk about your New York Knicks. A little bit of the Spurs, too. I see the fitted. I had to come show up. I'm not home team, but I had to go straight to Shaolin with the Wu-Tang hoodie. And I had to rep. You know what I'm saying? So I am ready for the occasion. Ready to talk hoops with you as always, Mike.
One thing I need to ask, because I'm a man of a certain age, right? And I have always been partial to fitted hats. I know it comes and goes. Sometimes it's fitted, it's the thing, and sometimes the snapbacks are the thing. And I remember my younger kids when they was watching, when they would have the snapbacks, and I'm like, snapback, well, snapback, sure, get a fitted. Mm-hmm. Due to the popular demand of Knicks merchandise, do you know that they sold out the majority of items for the finals? within the first 20 minutes of them clinching the Eastern Conference Finals.
That's insane, but I totally believe it too. I totally believe
So
it.
like I said, I'm like, listen, it's the first finals in 27 years. I was alive. I was a teenager when they went against Houston in 94, 95.
Hmm.
Um, when they went in 99 to the strike shortened year, I was around, but I had really never gotten any piece of finals merchandise. So I was like, you know what? After I was really numb in the aftermath, which we'll talk about pretty soon. So it took me a minute to realize, like, hold on, okay, darn, they're in the finals. I have to get some merch. So I
Got
went
to.
there and yeah, all the fitted hats were done. So I actually had to resort to getting a snapback,
Oh,
which
okay.
listen, I'm not really opposed to snapbacks, but because like I said, people my ilk, we like fitteds. What do you
Hmm.
prefer? A fitted or a snapback?
See, now I have a very slender build, and so I have to use snapbacks. I've been wearing snapbacks since I was a kid. Or even the little Velcro joints, like I had to, because the fitteds are never like they've never been for me. They've never been for me. So by default, I had to go with snapbacks. I had no choice. My
Now I hear that. I hear that because like I'm putting this on, and then anytime I look in the back, I feel in the back. I'm like, why do I feel my hip? Oh yeah, I got a snapback on. But that's the type of feeling that we have in New York. And also, don't you know I ordered a Karl-Anthony Towns jersey because I'm not a jersey person per se when it comes to
Okay,
basketball. I'll wear my baseball jersey. I'll wear my football jersey. But when it comes to basketball, I like the shorts. I like the shorts. Like I'll get shorts
fair.
of, like whatever flavor shorts y'all got. I'll get the shorts, right? And I'll wear them either walking or wear them in the house or whatever. So, but I didn't have a Knicks jersey, so I was like, you know what? Listen, I'm not trying to get the shirtsy. I'm gonna if I got the shirt, I mean I got the hat, I gotta get the jersey. So I gotta call Anthony Towns jersey, right? So I thought
Okay,
Nike had them on sale, had the city edition on sale for $100. I'm like, oh, perfect. Copped it, right? I woke up Saturday morning to an email saying your order has been canceled.
wow.
I'm like, why? Because they're out of stock. So I had to
It's a cold
do a
day.
quick pivot and I had to order a Brunson jersey, which, to tell you the truth, was my first option. But at the time I went there, they were sold out.
I was finna say that's crazy that you had to resort to Brunson.
Hot, yeah, but you know why? Because little did I know that maybe about a couple hours after I pressed that button to cop the Brunson jersey, you know why that was available? Because they had started unveiling the finals version of the
Mm.
Knicks jersey. And I'm like, that's the one I really wanted. I wanted the in the back.
Yeah.
But it is what it is. It is what it is. Maybe you know what? That'll be if we close the deal, that will be my present to myself and to
Absolutely.
my grandkids because they're gonna be Knicks fans. They already they already left with the Jets, but they're gonna be Knicks fans. I don't care if they live in Virginia or not. Guess what? Y'all don't have a team to root for. Y'all darn sure not gonna root for the Wizards.
Straight up. Straight. They gonna be coming pretty soon. Just not yet though.
Listen, yeah, because they did get the number one draft pick, But quick side note, since we touched upon it, do you believe that they're going, even though they have AD and they have Trey Young, and then with this this first overall draft pick, which way you think they're going to lean into? Do you think they're going to lean into a total um young rebuild and then try to flip AD and Trey Young again for more assets, or are they going to try to really go for it? Not so much a championship, but go for respectability right now.
Yeah, I think I'm of the notion that they're gonna flip AD. And by the way, I have no sources or major credibility whatsoever. But I think they go more Trey Young and the youth movement as
Okay.
opposed to keeping AD. And I like even now, they got the number one pick. You're thinking that they're going to get AJ DeBonta. I think Trae Young, he does need somebody of AJ's talent, but he does need shooters too. He needs youth. He needs athleticism. He needs defense. And having both AD and SAR is great in pick and roll game, but I do think that would be having two players outside of Trae Young that are isolation players, AJ DeBonsa and Anthony Davis. And not to say that Anthony Davis is a major isolation player, but just the fact that he likes the ball in the post and likes having those opportunities. I think it isn't always it's good for Trae Young come playoff time. But in the grand scheme of how he likes to play basketball, I don't think it's a long term a best fit long term. So that's why I believe that they would move on from AD. But yeah, that's my thoughts on the Wizards. Let's get to the Knicks though, because
Okay.
that's a whole different conversation.
Yeah. Being the fact I brought it up, I was like, listen, I got you on the air. Let me
No, for
let me
sure.
utilize my resources.
Yes,
So I just said that in the intro. I can't just contradict myself already. So, but the Knicks, yes, the Knicks, they have made the NBA Finals for the first time in 27 years. Um, we actually had a show together. You as a guest on the show prior to the season, upon the hiring of New York Knicks coach Mike Brown, and we discussed this this very thing that we thought was potentially going to happen, but now since it come to fruition, I'm going to go flashback in time, and because we always keep receipts over here, and here
absolutely.
we go. I don't see somebody. Cause Mike Brown is so versatile. Like he's had the number one defense. He's had the number one offense. He, like you said, he's come from all different regimes. He's come from San Antonio under Popovich.
Mm-hmm.
He had his run in Cleveland.
Mm-hmm.
He's I'm not gonna say the learning tree occurred, but just that culture right there. And a lot of people don't realize that during one of those runs when Kerr was out with the migraines, Mike Brown was studying
Oh
that
yeah.
tip,
Oh yeah.
and so it's it's something that it's going to be a short window because I don't see Mike Brown being here 5 years. I really don't. But if we can get what we need to get out of him within the first 3 years, especially with the people that we have under contract and under roster, and I believe he's going to be able to come up with schemes to amplify the talents of the people that we have, offensively and defensively. I believe that's a plus. And let me ask you this question, because we made two moves during the off season so
Mm-hmm.
far. The big from 76ers
Yabusele. Yabusele.
and Jordan Clarkson.
Jordan
Your
Clarkson.
thoughts on those moves and how they could integrate into the roster that we have right now?
So yeah, I love those moves.
I cut that off for one reason. Because first of all, I put the wrong clip up. Secondly,
Oh,
you never know what's going to happen to the Salty Thoughts of Mike Steph. But secondly, more importantly, we had two moves. We were talking about Jordan Clarkson and we were talking about Yabusele. Yabusele, listen, we're not talking about him right now. He's a non-factor.
he with my
But
team now.
Jordan Clarkson, right? Um, do and I know this is not probably the first person you would come off the top of the lips talking about when we were talking about Knicks championship and Knicks finals run, but to me, he hasn't been integral throughout the season for actually accepting the role that has been given to him. What are
Mm-hmm.
your thoughts about how amendable Jordan Clarkson has been from what we thought we were going to get during the preseason and what he ended up being pretty much throughout the season?
Yeah, so the first thing that comes to my mind is the fact that there are X factors, and then nowadays, because NBA rosters are so deep, there are hidden X factors. And when I say that, I mean that Jordan Clarkson, had he been in the regular rotation, would definitely be an X factor for this team in a series like this versus San Antonio Spurs. But now he's a hidden X factor to where given the situation, Mike Brown is going to have to put him in certain moments. And I think it's very important that we think back to the NBA Cup because the Knicks probably do not win the NBA Cup if it wasn't for the game that Jordan Clarkson had versus the San Antonio Spurs, hitting big shots. And I think to your point, it's been great to see Jordan's maturity in this situation to say, you know what? I'm not the sixth man that I used to be, or at least rotationally. I think I still got the game for it, but rotationally, I'm just not as active as I'm used to being. At the same time, I see the vision of this team. I see how talented this team is, and I see that our coach is actively trying to make attempts to what's the word? Like maximize our depth. And that means I gotta buy in. If we're really trying to be a championship team, that means I have to buy in too. So I love what I'm seeing from Jordan Clarkson, and I do think he at some point, if the Knicks are struggling to generate some offense against that Spurs defense, he will have to be utilized as that relentless, fearless bucket getter that we know he could be.
To follow up on that, are you surprised about how effective he has been in the times his number's been called defensively? Because
Yes.
because one thing about Mike Brown, it might not be as apparent as it was with Tibbs, but if you're not doing your job or you're not giving maximum effort on the defensive end, no matter how many buckets you could score, you're not really going to get that optimal run. Um, Case in point, maybe to a detriment, but case in point, Tyler Kolek, because
Mm-hmm.
during that cup game, he was getting busy, but
Yeah.
right now he only sees little legitimate garbage time because I guess he's not Brown is not confident that he can hold up on the defensive end. So yes, speak about how surprised you are how engaged Jordan Clarkson has been defensively when his number's been called.
Yeah, that's a great point, OG, because Jordan has been showing that effort. Like, and he's there are a lot of NBA players. Like we like to say guys are bad defenders or whatnot. Some guys just fall in the middle. You like it's usually impossible to really classify some guys. Some guys just fall in the middle because their offense is so good. So I think that's another testament to his maturity, right? Like to say, okay, I can turn on that switch when I need to. And yeah, this coach is demanding that a little bit more than maybe some of the coaches that I've had in the past. So and especially because my minutes are lower, I'm going to show that at the end of the day, I'm a basketball player and I can sit in that chair if need be. And especially for a championship level team, I'm going to have to sit in that chair and I think Mike Brown is one of those coaches, right? I'll let you get the buckets if you do this first. If you can do what I want and what is going to help us as a collective be a good team, you can get all the buckets that you want. And that type of mindset, that level of trust is usually going to fare well with players like Jordan Clarkson. So yeah, it doesn't surprise me at all that he's been able to lock in defensively too.
Now, to follow up on that, the Knicks have broken NBA records in this 11 game run, starting in game 4 against the Atlanta Hawks when they were down
Yeah.
2 and they effectively changed the way they ran their offense. Um, my my question to you is first, what thoughts do you have on the historic run that the Knicks have put together in these 11 games? And more importantly, could you even fathom that this is really railed against during the regular season for their inconsistency? Like they would have spurts where they're putting up 130, 140 a game, and then they would have spurts like they would just join it. So the floor is yours.
Yeah, so it's funny you say that cuz I can definitely fathom that this happened because they had the talent. We knew that what they had on paper. Um and I think it's been great to see that they're playing selfless. That's the main thing that I've been thinking about this entire time is that like wow, it should be no secret that the Knicks have made these strides because they're playing the most selfless basketball that I've seen them play in my life. And that's going back to all those teams. Like again, this is the first time in 27 years I'm 27. Like this is the best Knicks team that I've ever seen. into to a certain degree. So like, yeah, they had the defense of versatility between OG Anunoby, Mikal Bridges, but also in empowering those guys to be vital parts of the offense, because the Knicks were always falling short when either both or even one of those guys were just out of the mix. And usually some games that was Mikal Bridges with some of the shot selection or just some of the lack of touches he was getting. There were games where he'd get a lot of touches in the first quarter and then he probably wouldn't see the rock after that. OG Anunoby, I think, making putting Karl-Anthony Towns up top as a passing hub and even sometimes at the free throw line in the high post has allowed these other guys to make those decisions. You see sometimes Mikal Bridges cut from underneath the basket and realize, oh, Jalen Brunson's in trouble. Let me run up to the free throw line, get a curl, and even if I can't get a shot, I got the corner shooter. Exactly. So, same thing with OG Anunoby. A lot of his buckets are pretty simple. I always call him like great value Kawhi Leonard. He gets on those runs a couple times, where he's just cooking. And like you look back to the NBA Cup game, jab stepping Wemby, hitting a corner three right in his face. Like that level of confidence. Again, that is what I always wanted to see from the Knicks, and I'm so proud of them, and especially giving credit to Mike Brown for fostering that and bringing that to this team, because now we're seeing the fruit of that.
You mentioned about the transition to making Karl-Anthony Towns the passing hub, the
Mm-hmm.
hub. Um, I remember at the very beginning of the season, preseason, beginning of the season, that he was trying to install. Mike Brown was trying to install the offense, more motion, get everybody more involved, and the base of the offense literally was supposed to be Cat playing the role of Sabonis in
Mm-hmm.
in Sacramento, right?
Yeah.
And for some reason, I don't know why, maybe just stubbornness or maybe just uncomfortability with it, that Cat was resistant on that because this is going back to him saying that he was uncomfortable. Well, not even uncomfortable, but he doesn't know his role, blah 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 blah. And but even so, Mike Brown had tinkered the offense like, all right, you're not gonna be the hub, but we're still gonna get the motion. We're still gonna get the motion. We're
Mm-hmm.
still gonna get Brunson off the ball. And those are the times that they were scoring like 125, 130, 140. But it wasn't consistent because number one, I give credit to Brown saying, all right, I want this fast-paced offense, but even though I might not be running them into the ground per se on minutes, they're not really built. This roster is not really built to run and gun like I was doing with Sacramento.
Mm-hmm.
So he allowed them to kind of revert back to more ISO ball or more Brunson dominated, but he still kept. I really feel like he's been a master of all trades this season. He's tinkered when needed to be. He's held people accountable when they needed to be. Um,
Mm-hmm.
I think it's very important, and I think for as much flack as Jalen Brunson gets from the national media, in my perspective, that he's ball dominant. Even some of the fan base are like, he got to give up the rock. He got to give up the rock, and I'm like, he's not doing that to be selfish. Because to me, Jalen Brunson is not a selfish player. He's
Not at
all
all.
about winning,
Yeah.
first and foremost. So if he felt, all right, if he has the vibe of the team, like, which guy, Mikal is in his feelings tonight. I'm not really, I can't depend on Mikal right now. Or I need to be in charge of who's feeling it, who's not. If they're not, guess what? I'm gonna do my thing. Now, Karl-Anthony Towns at that time, he's not a vocal person of give me the rock. So he's like, all right, you know what? You wanna dribble and everything? Fine. I don't expect me to play D hard, but you want to dribble? Fine. I say that to say, do you believe that they had this in the tuck all season. And even though they got away from it in the beginning of the season, do you believe that they were still practicing it in their off time? So therefore, they knew in the back of their mind that's their trump card. That's the card that they could. Oh, that's their ace in the hole. Yeah, I'm not even gonna go into that. That's their ace in the hole. We could pull this out, like pull string upon emergency. What do you feel about that? Do you feel like this is just some epiphany, or this is like, nah, they've been working on it. It's just like they didn't want to use it until they had to use it.
I think it's a little bit of both. I think a little bit of an epiphany because of some of those moments of adversity that they did hit that at the time felt like the end of the world, low key. But at the same time, oh yeah, they're definitely working on that stuff in behind closed doors. Like, I think again, it's just another testament to Mike Brown because he's what I give him his flowers for is that it would have been very easy to kind of run from the moment and kind of be like, oh shoot, this is what they mean. This is the pressure of coaching the New York Knicks. This is and granted, he's a veteran coach. I don't see him shying away from that, but just that as a human being, that can get very overwhelming. But there were times he was looking the media dead in the face and saying, hey, like, I'm standing on what I'm saying. I know the fans don't like it right now. I know you guys might not like it right now, but I'm standing on what I'm saying. And now look at the end result. I think that's just a testament to what he's established for them. So, yeah, a little bit of both, and an epiphany, but they've definitely worked on that stuff for sure.
Because I remember toward the end of the regular season, they pulled out the wrinkle of the two-man game with
Yeah.
Brunson in Towns, either pick and pop, pick and roll, screen action, and he literally aligned their minutes of Brunson and Cat are on the court at the same time. They're both. He wasn't staggering their minutes. Like, listen, we're going to get this. We're going to get this squared away before the postseason. Y'all going to have to learn how to, because y'all are the strengths of our team. With y'all on the court and both y'all being a threat, that loosens it up for everyone. So y'all have to be on the floor together, working in unison.
Great point.
Now, they actually, and I think I said this in the past episode, that it was coincidentally they actually unveiled unveiled that against the Atlanta Hawks during one of the last meetings,
Yep.
and allowed them to win that game. And that was, I really believe, in my opinion, because I do respect Quinn Snyder as a coach. I really believe that him seeing that wrinkle allowed them to be as close as they could be in those first three games, that they was able to steal two of those games. It was like,
Yep.
oh, okay, yeah, we just saw this. Now, to Mike Brown credit, that's when he said, all right, y'all saw that. Y'all didn't see this. Or maybe y'all don't remember this. Now, who do you give credit for them buying in to, okay, we're going to run the offense through Cat right now? Do you give the credit to Mike Brown to get everybody to buy in? Do you give the credit to Brunson saying like, listen, I know I'm the captain. I know I have it in my hands, but I'm not, listen, I ain't tripping. If that's gonna get us closer, say less. Do you give the credit to Cat saying, okay, I'm not gonna be able to get my quote unquote points, but you're actually giving me more responsibility than you have all season, and I feel the need to reward you for giving me the opportunity. And maybe it could be a random fourth. All of the above, none of the above, whatever. Your thoughts?
Mike, I think multiple things can be true in this situation. Like, I think it's definitely on Mike Brown. Something shout out 19 Media Group, the Baseline podcast, Warren Shaw, Cal Lee, myself and Rashad Grove, we were just on the show on their most recent episode talking about this dynamic because I really think that these coaches in the NBA finals right now, Mike Brown and Mitch Johnson, have had an absolute chokehold on their locker rooms. So yes, I want to say that for the Knicks, it starts at the top with Mike Brown, establishing these championship habits and these mindsets on these guys. But I also think Jalen Brunson has definitely showed that in the past. Even though they came up short last year, Jalen Brunson is a very steady dude. I think even a name we haven't mentioned, Josh Hart. I really love what I'm seeing from Josh Hart this year. I had doubts that he was going to be able to be effective if he wasn't in transition. That seems to be his bread and butter. But he's had games where he's getting to his off the dribble a little bit and confident, taking shots that we didn't see later in the playoffs last year versus the Pacers. Like he seems to be locked in, just focused. What I was just having this conversation with my brother. The best thing that basketball players can have, and really all athletes, and I guess even regular people, quote unquote, like this thing of committing to a decision. Like the best basketball players commit to a decision and live with the results. Josh Hart seems to be that guy. I'm gonna get this rebound no matter who's in there. I'm gonna drive this ball no matter who's in the paint. Jalen Brunson, I'm gonna take this shot no matter who has to say something about it. Right? Karl-Anthony Towns. I don't care if I'm the one with 10 points and 10 assists, or I do get my 20 points, 10 rebounds. Like this team has a level of just steadiness that, again, I felt like they showed flashes of last year, but now they're really tapping into. So I think you got to credit Jalen Brunson, you got to credit Cat, you got to credit Josh Hart, you got to credit Mikal Bridges for sticking through his cold moments and all these rumors that they shouldn't have brought him on. That can be tough to play with. You got to give credit to OG Anunoby stepping up his level of play, as he usually does. I think the credit is really to everybody, Mike, for real.
Um, Looking back on the two sweeps, Philly and the Cavs, right?
Mm-hmm.
Which one were you surprised that it was going to be a sweep? Like, which one impressed you more that they was able to sweep?
I would say Philly. Out of those two, definitely Philly, because the Sixers have. I've said on my show they had, to me, like the best 4-man group between Tyrese Maxey, VJ Edgecombe, Paul George, and Joel Embiid. There is so much that those four guys bring. Like, it's not that somebody has a glaring weakness. They can all fill multiple roles. And that to me was very dangerous. And it wasn't to say that I thought they were going to win the series. Like I did think the Knicks were going to win that series. But like for to sweep that team and beat them the way they did, I did not see that coming. If you had told me before the Cavs series the Knicks would have swept them, I would have believed you, unfortunately, because the thing about the Cavs, there are some weaknesses on that roster where you're just like, they kind of stumbled to the Eastern Conference Finals. Like they nearly lost against Toronto, barely beat Detroit, but I don't want to get into that. I definitely think that and this is even with the Sixers having a almost non-existent depth. Like they were pretty much relying on 5, 6 guys. So I was definitely impressed that the Knicks swept them because to me the Sixers had some kind of a top heavy roster that did resemble New York and compete with them well. Yeah, so I would go with the Sixers on that one.
I'm gonna ask you this. Um,
Okay.
could you mention depth, and that's right now that's the Knicks' strength that we can go legitimately 10 deep,
Mm-hmm.
confidently 10 deep, and we're confident that all 10 players are going to contribute in their roles in a game together right now, especially these last 11 games.
For sure.
It's almost reminiscent in some ways to another team that actually achieved championship glory before they got their Thanos piece, and that would be what is the 2015 Warriors.
Mm-hmm.
Strength in numbers.
Yeah.
Do you believe it's a new era strength in numbers? Right now that they're doing, because you can wear down a team over a 7-game series. Now, yeah, did the schedule, not saying so much the schedule, but the workload that other teams had to do as opposed to us taking care of our business. I feel like I don't understand why people are using that as an excuse of, well, they had to go 7 games while the Knicks had 9 days off. Guess why? Because we took care of business.
Straight
We
up.
took care of business. Everybody had a best of 7. It's not our fault we won 4 straight. It's not our fault y'all playing with your food. Did anybody give us any type of leeway last year when we were playing with our food and which got coughed up game after game? The reason I always used to say Knicks in 6, even though I just knew, all right, the team should win. I always say my motto was Knicks in 6. Why? Because we're gonna cough up a game. We're gonna trick off a game.
Mm-hmm.
This year, we tricked off 2 games in the first round, and we haven't tricked off a game since.
Mm-hmm.
So the depth that we have that's been on full display, I really believe is going to pay dividends, especially against this team that we're going to talk about pretty soon. Because I can't listen, as much as a homer I am, I'm not going to detract, and I'm not going to just say, yo, we're not talking about the Spurs at all. Trust me, we're going to get to the Spurs, but I really think that's going to be a very important strength of ours. But
Mm-hmm.
with Karl-Anthony Towns, right? Karl-Anthony Towns has been a very divisive figure, controversial figure in the 2 years that he's been in the city. Um, a lot of people wanted him. Well, a lot of people like and acknowledge his skills, but coming from Minnesota, which Minnesota they didn't win anything with him, and they didn't really start excelling until Ant-Man got over there. Um, so we just myself included, I'm like, oh darn, he's kind of soft. Like, I don't know. Like, I know about the skills, but I don't know. I don't know if he built for the city.
Mm-hmm.
But do you believe that this has been somewhat a redemption story for Karl-Anthony Towns? From last year, averaging 25 and 13 or what have you, his numbers dipped this season, and I really feel that all the talk in the off season regarding Giannis. Side note: everybody out there, does it look like we need Giannis Antetokounmpo now?
Talk that
I
talk.
really, I really felt that, and I know it shouldn't be deeper than this, but then at the same time, you never know. I always felt that the national media or a lot of the cool kids at the table of the NBA, it's almost like they saw the Knicks on the come up. They saw the Knicks on the precipice, and they figured, you know what we could put? We know we could put a fly in the ointment. Dissension. They need Giannis. Why do we need Giannis? Because he's a name player. He's his his Achilles is probably hanging on by a string. I don't want to wish that on nobody, but look, when you got calf problems, this is the
You can't
ongoing
play with
problem.
that.
So why would we do that? But for them to put that out there during the off season, during a season that was pretty much finals or bust, and the only person that would really be affected by Giannis coming here would be this. What people would say, who people would say would be the most sensitive person on the team, Karl-Anthony Towns. To me, there's a correlation of him, quote unquote, underachieving during the season with all the rumors swirling around that, yeah, he's about to go to Milwaukee. They're about to get rid of him. He didn't ask to come here, but he came here. And then we're about to ship him off. And then coincidentally, when there's no chance for him to be shipped off in the playoffs, oh, now he's open to doing a different role and doing and excelling in that different role. So I say all that to say this. Do you believe this is a redemption story for Karl-Anthony Towns? I got a follow up to that, but I'm going to let that breathe. Go ahead.
Yeah. Um, I see it as that more off the court than on the court. Um, I mean, I think with Cat, yes, yeah, you could say it's a redemption story because to your point, like he has been the butt of the joke a lot of times. You look at his foul troubles and things of that nature. You look at how some games he just doesn't always seem At least in the past, he just doesn't always seem aggressive, and people obviously are going to pick on that. So yes, in some ways, it is a redemption story from him. Like for him to potentially hold the NBA Finals trophy would be like that's how you want to get back at the haters. That's always how sports have been. But I think to what you're about to allude to, I do think a lot more of it is just the natural connections behind the scenes that make it an even bigger story. As much as it is what it's as much as it's about what he's doing on court.
You know, young OG, you already know. Continue.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Because
We're
we
in
talked a
sync.
little
We're in
bit.
sync. You
Yeah.
already know what I'm about to continue. Go ahead.
I
Spit.
and I think it's not just Cat. When you look at Cat, this is his 10th, 11th year in the league. He came into the league in 2015. 10 years later, he's got an opportunity to win a championship. Everybody dreams of that. Playing for the team he's always rooted for, the team that he loved watching with his mom and his father. That's big. I think it's the same thing for Jalen Brunson, who was on the team the last time we got this matchup in the finals. His father. You look at Josh Hart, finally finding a home after being a guy that had a lot of trade value coming up because he was such a Swiss Army knife, right? You look at Mikal Bridges, the Nova Knicks type thing, the OG Anunoby getting traded here as like, oh yes, that's our guy. That's the guy we need to help us get over the hump. Like it's so much of that across this roster. I know I tweeted this the other day when they clinched it. Like Mitchell Robinson being the longest tenured Knick. Like he was around for those days where, it was the early Julius Randle's days and y'all were trying to figure out what was next. Like it's not just a Cat redemption story. I think this is such a New York Knicks movie scene right here.
Now, I'm gonna put this picture up real quick that I
Okay.
think I saw on Twitter. And I want your quick reaction on this picture.
Yeah. And still. And still. And still. Because you guys were the Knicks. The funny thing is the Knicks were still decent when Dante was there. So I know he's still like, man, y'all traded me for Mikal. Like that should be me. It's the same thing with DeMar DeRozan when Kawhi won it all. It's like, dang. Like had they stuck with me, we probably would have made it. Especially knowing LeBron ended up going to the Western Conference. Yeah, there's a little bit of that. There's a little bit of that for sure.
I saw that. I was like, you know what? I gotta add that. That is so apropos because I ain't gonna lie. There's times during the season I was like, man, yo, if we had Dante, Dante wouldn't be which the big ragu wouldn't be acting all soft and everything. Come on, man.
Yeah.
Yo, Mikal, you were just in Brooklyn. Listen, I know you were the man in Brooklyn and everything, but come on, like one thing about Mikal Bridges that I'll never understand, and this is not to detract from anything of his skills because he showed out. He has showed out.
For sure.
I've never seen a player so adverse to having contact or getting contact in the days and times of the league in which it's so easy to live at the foul line. I'm not saying draw the fouls like the newly eliminated Shea Gilgeous-Alexander or old school James Harden, or listen, Jalen Brunson gets in his bag and he'll get you in foul trouble, but I think maybe it's because I'm biased, but I think that's more of a manly way. Well, matter of fact, that's more of an adult way of doing it because he's not baiting. He just, and if you get caught out there, he's going to take it.
Yep.
But Mikal Bridges, it's almost like no, don't touch me. Everything is a fadeaway. The only thing that's not a fadeaway is a dunk. And the only time he dunk, he's dunking on you, but he don't dunk it on you with the and one. He like, and then walks away and then.
Oh yeah, the nosebleed. He do the nosebleed thing. Yeah.
I'm like, I never understood. Do you have any thoughts on why he's so adverse to really not even drawing contact, but it's like he does not want contact whatsoever? Because he's a decent foul shooter. So why not try to? instead of that 15 points a game, he probably would average 20 points a game if he actually allowed himself to receive contact.
Yeah, I got a few reasons for that, Mike. So
Okay.
number one, you're absolutely right. Like it was a game. I think it was one of the Cleveland games. He actually did take it to the basket, and it was an awkward finish, but he made it work. And I'm like, that's insane. That like even as a viewer, I could tell like he's not used to doing that. It's probably been a long time since he took it to the rack that aggressive. I was like, that looked so awkward to be the seasoned NBA player that he is now. Like it's funny to watch, but at the same time, I think number two, it's his durability streak. You know, he's low key chasing that AC Green Iron Man type of thing. So now it's like I guess he feels like he has to protect that. Like, oh, this is preventing me from getting injured. I think another point to that too, Mike. You see a lot of guys aren't rebounding as much nowadays because I think they realize like, hey, that's where all the bumps and bruises are. I ain't trying to deal with that. So I think it's the same thing on the offensive side with some of these guys where they don't want to have these opportunities to get to the free throw line. They don't want to take advantage of layups and aggressive finishes because they're thinking about their long-term health. And then there's the bias side with me. Again, that's a pretty skinny brother, man. You know, we ain't trying to take all them, you know, we give elbows. We don't necessarily, you know, we got to use that to our advantage sometimes. So, you know, we don't always want to deal with the trees, even though there's a lot of small ball in today's NBA, but we ain't always trying to deal with the trees. So I think it's a little bit of everything.
I never thought about the rebounding aspect.
Mhm.
You know, how yeah, which actually makes Josh Hart such an anomaly that somebody
Yeah.
his size, even though he's sturdy, he's not frail,
Yeah.
but somebody his size routinely played the four. Like he
Hmm.
was our power forward up
Yeah.
until, I mean, yeah, up until we got really OG. He was our power forward. And he was routinely averaging like close to 10 rebounds a game for a
Yeah.
guard. Josh Hart, because you mentioned this not too long ago. Josh Hart, he's gone through the league and he finally found the home. And for a while, he was always, to me, he was famous for the memes of he's always giving somebody a five and they would ignore him and he would just dap himself up. Like in multiple
Mm.
uniforms, and I'm like, what? Why are they doing that to Josh? He comes over
Yeah.
here. Now, it helps that Rich Goy, his best friend is the captain,
Hmm.
but you could tell he has a personality that he'll mess with you. And I guess if you're not really built for it or you don't rock with him like that, it's just like over here it works. It just works because he's embedded in the fabric of the Knicks.
Hmm.
I can't see, to me, a lot of, we can trace back, and this will actually go into, we can trace back to when Brunson arrived to the Knicks as the beginning of our ascent. Yeah, don't get me wrong. I'm going to give credit to Julius Randle also
Hmm.
because when
Absolutely.
he came, that year with Tibbs, the shortened year with 41-31, he was our man. He was the main player. He was the best player.
He got y'all back.
Yeah, he brought us back. And he made us respectable enough that other players would be like, you know what? Okay, if they was able to achieve this, and this is not a knock against Julius, but if they was able to achieve this with Tibbs and Julius and the way they just really grind and really just go all out, you know what? I'm willing to give the Knicks a chance, right?
Hmm.
So of course we get Brunson, and Brunson gave us that next layer of, okay, now we got two pieces, maybe not two so-called A pieces according to the NBA landscape, the NBA media, but we got two pieces that we can feel confident going to war with. But in my opinion, what unlocked this team? The acquisition of Josh Hart.
Absolutely.
I remember, I think there was a stat when we got him from Portland that year. I want to say we was either 22-5 or 18-5, something to that effect with Josh Hart that year.
Mm.
and we got into the playoffs. And then the following year, we got OG, and then we had some type of crazy stat in between his injury stints that we were like 15-1 with OG. Every acquisition that we have gotten has propelled us to the next level.
For sure.
But centering on Brunson, as the Cryon says, can Brunson be the greatest Knick ever? Like, the reason I say that, how much do you believe that Brunson will be solidified as a superstar? Not in New York, because right now he's the king of New York, right? Just getting into this part. Listen, he's good money. Unless he really craps the bed, which we know he's not. He's good money for years, right? But everybody always says, "Oh, he's a star. Oh, he's which guard? He's a small guard." I'm like, Brunson is a legitimate 6'2", 6'3". Yeah, small guard per se, but he's not small at all. He's not diminutive, right? They call him Big Body Brunson for a reason, right?
Straight up.
He like, I think one year he led all guards for points in the paint. So he's not afraid of nothing, right?
Straight up.
If they win the championship as him being the best player, even though I'm hearing Bomani, and Bomani, listen, I respect a lot of his opinions, but I hear Bomani saying, well, Karl-Anthony Towns has actually been the best player for the Knicks in the playoffs. No, he hasn't. He's been, I would say he's been the most important player because of the style of play that we've done, but has he been the best player on the team? No, we still live and die by Brunson. So in my whirlwind that I'm normally which I normally do you believe that a championship would solidify Jalen Brunson as a top tier superstar in the league? In the league.
It better because if you hear what I always say, you remember what Giannis said when he won, like, hey, you should have that right a little bit where if you get the championship, you should be the best player. You should be seen as the best player in the league. And then when he lost, when they fell short the next year, he said, hey, it's not me. And I think, we do kind of need to bring that back a little bit. But at the same time, I think it's such a tough question, Mike, because even just in a general sense of the world, superstars are just different now. Like with social media and everything, being a superstar is just so different now. And like I always think of this, like I know speaking for myself as a kid, like I knew, NBA Live taught me that Ray Allen was a star. Kobe Bryant was a superstar. Right? So and I think the funniest thing about Jalen Brunson is that, his commercials have stepped up. His presence has stepped up a little bit, and that's on the business side of things. He's got superstar numbers. He's got 25, 26 point per game seasons, 6, 7 assists, all-star, NBA Cup, MVP. Like, he's got these things, doing it in the biggest market in sports. Like, that alone should, yes, you would think he is a superstar, but I think just the optics and just other players, like, it's just easy to slide him down the totem pole in that regard. But I think a championship should absolutely solidify Jalen Brunson as a superstar in this league, no question.
Okay, follow up on that. Shai's what, back-to-back MVP, right?
Yeah.
He got an MVP last year before he got his first championship. Jalen Brunson wasn't even in the top 3 in voting. Why is that?
Because I think we're in a climate now where the MVP is more so like how much does your impact show? Like, the greater the impact, the high, because you look at the top 3 the last few years, it's Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, where 9 times out of 10 he's got the basketball for the Oklahoma City Thunder, averaging 30 points a game, crazy percentages, historic level percentages. You look at Nikola Jokic, he is the Denver Nuggets. Everything runs through Nikola Jokic. And then you look at Giannis, everything runs through Giannis, 32 points, 12 rebounds, 5 assists, a block, a steal. He's got the highlights to match the stats. Like, I think it's a lot of that, Mike, because even then, the next name would be Luka Doncic. 33 points, 8 rebounds, 8 assists. Like, you see what I'm saying? I think it's that reason. It's the same reason why, as much as he's deserving, Jason Tatum has had a hard time entering those conversations. Jalen Brunson has had a hard time legitimately entering those conversations, because at the end of the day, those guys play the game the right way. And even when they do have these crazy games and these crazy seasons, it's for some reasons just still not Shea. It's still not Jokic. It's still not Giannis. It is very hard to win the NBA MVP in today's league, for sure. The usage is ridiculous.
It's almost like, to me, it's like once you get grandfathered in as a quote unquote MVP caliber player, you're always an MVP caliber. You've never seen somebody be into that tier and then all of a sudden they just drop down. No matter how much they fail to have success in the playoffs. Like, yeah, Luka Doncic, all right, yeah, he's doing all this. He's gotten to the finals one time, but quiet as kept, he got to the finals with Kyrie Irving. Like, anytime he's been the man, they didn't. They all right. They got to the Western Conference Finals, large part because Jalen Brunson, which was on a Brunson burner before we knew what it was in that first round series against the Utah Jazz that year. A lot of people don't remember that.
Luka missed some games, right? He was like out the first two or something like that. Jalen Brunson had his time to shine. Yes, sir.
Yeah, and it's almost like because he came into the league, he didn't come into the league highly touted, even though he was National Player of the Year in Villanova. Was he once or twice? I don't remember. I know they won 2 championships, but I think this last year he was National Player of the Year. But since he was drafted in the second round, it's like he got grandfathered in as the little engine that possibly can, or nepotism. Which, listen, I'm not going to get into that. But it's almost like no matter what he achieves, it's like, isn't that cute? Well, would he achieve that if his father wasn't on the staff? Never mind about the fact that, doing little clips in here and there, it's not like his father is easy on him at all. Like that was reminiscent of a lot of which got father-son mentorships in various sports. I think he's just been a success story. He hasn't gone the way of Ryan Leaf. He hasn't gone the way of Todd Marinovich. Like, he's gone, which he's had the right structure. You don't even hear that about Steph Curry. Dale Curry was the nicest. He wasn't the rifleman like Chuck Parsons, but Chuck Parsons, but Dale Curry was nasty. Nobody gives Steph that care. And for Mike Brown, I think Mike Brown had mentioned that he puts Jalen Brunson in the category of Steph Curry with the amount of hard work that they do, with the willingness to do whatever's necessary for the team to be able to work off the ball, beat a handler, and do things in a way that it never looks hard. It never looks hard, and he's always even keel. He's never you can never tell whether they're winning or losing, except for the end of the fourth quarter of that Philly game. No, the fourth quarter of that Cavalier game where he's like, listen, it's go time. We cannot cough this game up. Listen, all right, say less. So, do you believe that Jalen Brunson could be the greatest Knick ever? And I know, matter of fact, sans the second greatest Knick ever, because Clyde Frazier is always going to be the greatest Knick, no matter what. But from below Clyde, do you believe that if he went to Chip, will he be higher than Ewing, higher than Melo, Bernard King, and so forth?
I think I'm right with you. It's even as an outsider, right? Like, I think it is Clyde. That's who I always think of. And then I think Jalen Brunson can be that. I do think he is definitely like teetering towards Patrick Ewing. Because again, Patrick Ewing was a Knick for a very long time before those last few years where he bounced around. He went to the finals, if I'm not mistaken, twice. Jalen Brunson, this is still the first one. So obviously, if he wins, that can definitely add to his case. But again, then the conversation is going to become, well, can he do it again? But I definitely think he is like he's definitely going to be fighting with you. And I do think if not already, he's getting past Carmelo, and I love Melo. Um, and yeah, getting past Bernard King, and I got respect for Bernard King. But I think you got to give him his props. You got to give him his props.
Okay. Now, I told you, yeah, I know it's going to be New York centric. It's going to be Knicks centric.
Hmm.
Now, I'm going to be very transparent and say that I watched maybe a combined 10 minutes of the Western Conference Finals because once the Knicks was finished, I was like, you know what? Listen, I'm good. They got a
I ain't even gonna
9-day
wrap
rest.
myself up.
I
Yeah.
got a 9-day rest. So I'm really going to lean on you. I'm going to lean on you, bro. I'm going to lean on you to let me know. Now we know it's the Spurs
Mhm.
that overcame the 3-2 deficit against OKC, beat OKC on the road in Game 7. So
Mhm.
I'm going to lean on you to let the New York Knicks faithful who don't know or need a reminder of exactly what team we expect to see, or the pluses, the minus. Listen, this man mid post every Friday on the 19 Media Group YouTube channel and all streaming platforms where podcasts are available. I'm going to put that in now. But this man is par excellence when it comes to basketball analysis, basketball talk, basketball strategy, in all different angles that you might not even know. So I'm going to give the floor to you to let everybody know what to expect about these Spurs, their run through the finals, and their current state right now.
Well, I appreciate the kind words, OG. I'm still working to that point, but I appreciate that for sure. And I do want to correct mid post every Tuesday, every Tuesday.
Sorry, my bad. My bad.
No, you good.
I watch it on
So yeah,
Friday. My bad.
yeah, I got you, I got you. um, so yeah, looking at this matchup between the Knicks and Spurs, so I guess I can say this: if you are a Knicks fan, you should be absolutely, I was gonna say ecstatic, but I feel like that's a strong word. You should definitely be optimistic that you have a starting five with so much cohesion and so much flow right now, and you do have some depth. If you had the depth that you had last year, it would be worse. But you have established some depth that you can rely on to face a team like the Spurs. And the thing about this is, if you no matter how much of the last series you watched of the Western Conference Finals, the dynamic of what you might have saw from Shea Gilgeous-Alexander and what you might see from Jalen Brunson is probably going to be the same. You have the San Antonio Spurs who have a good amount of bodies they can put on Jalen Brunson, and mind you, bigger bodies. And that's something that I think in particularly Jalen Brunson has struggled a little bit with the Detroit Pistons. And so with the Spurs having options to put Stephon Castle on Jalen Brunson, to put even if they try to put Carter Bryant, the rookie who guarded Shai Gilgeous-Alexander 94 feet at some points and definitely held his own, he's having to deal with that. Their switchability. I think Devin Vassell isn't known as a defender but can hold his own. Julian Champagnie isn't known as a defender but can hold his own. Like De'Aaron Fox, still quick. Like they're gonna have options. And as Jalen Brunson is somebody who likes to get the mismatch a lot of times out of pick and rolls, he's not necessarily gonna run into a worse defender, quote unquote. Like I think the Spurs have guys that are going to be able to hold their own. And even then, the Spurs have a tremendous load up defense. So they're going to load the box and they're going to try to contain him, and they know he likes to get to the mid-range. So they may operate from the same strategies as Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. We're going to put two on the ball and force him to give it up. So if you're Mikal Bridges, OG Anunoby, you're going to have to knock down shots because they're going to try to get the ball out of Jalen Brunson's hands. Now, that said, what the New York Knicks have that Oklahoma City did not have is, like I said, cohesion, interconnectivity, being able to feed Karl-Anthony Towns in the post, and he's not shy to score or make the right pass. OG Anunoby having the brain to say, you know what? I don't got to stand in the corner. Let me make a cut to the basket. Let's do a misdirection here with Josh Hart. Let's run something from Mikal Bridges. Oklahoma City did not have that whatsoever. So if I'm getting long-winded, but I do think that if you're a Knicks fan specifically and you want some optimism of this series, your team has the personnel to hang with the San Antonio Spurs. There is no doubt in my mind about that. I think the worries will come from the bench, and not because the bench is incapable, but because the bench just does not compare to San Antonio's. They have 3 guards that can start on any team in the league. So no matter what, they have a guard that can make decisions and put pressure on your defense. They have shot blockers where it doesn't matter if Wemby's out there because Lou Cornett is still a very good rim protector. They have spot up shooting. Like, the Spurs depth is insane, but I do have faith that the Knicks will be able to match it offensively. But again, it's going to require that everybody's basically doing what they've shown so far. If they can stay even keel and know their role and come through in the clutch, they'll have a better shot for sure.
The person in this, like, I've told people, while they were battling it out in the Western Conference Finals, uh, I preferred to play San Antonio.
Mm.
And people looking at me, especially with the injuries that OKC had, it was like, why? Listen, they're shorthanded. I think y'all it'd be a better matchup, and I'm like, no. And this was my philosophy.
Okay.
One, I feel like the Spurs, like you said, is more mano a mano. Like, I feel like we can just play with them. Listen, the best team win. And I'm not being a conspiracy theorist or whatever. I just like, you know what? I just feel like, okay, Wemby, yes, Wemby is a beast to deal with.
100%.
Um, and as the time has gone by from last year to this year, he's just gotten more intelligent, more stronger, better, so forth, right? Like, he's just keeps on rising a level. He's not the same person that was in the NBA Cup. We know that, right? And you know how he's not about making friends either. He's not being surly, but he's like, oh, word, y'all got me. Guess what? I'm coming for my get back. So that's a little bit worrisome. But at the same time, it's like, all right, we do have experience playing with them. I think in the time we played against Wemby, maybe we might be 50-50. We might split the games or whatever. I remember a couple years ago, was the last year Classic, when him and Brunson was going back and forth, 40, 50 points a game. I think they beat us in overtime or whatever. But I just feel like that's a more favorable matchup because it could be mano a mano, and in reality, we have the experience. Advantage, right? Just overall experience. OKC, I just like, they'll jump the game up. We'll get frustrated. I think Mike Brown maybe had 2 technicals all season, and guess who they were against? OKC, because of all the flopping and all that. And I could see that taking the team out of their rhythm, both game flow wise, and then they're just being so irritated about not getting the calls. I just felt like no matter how many people they were missing, at least Spurs, we know they're gonna play the game. They're gonna play the game the right way. We're gonna play the game the right way. Better team win, right?
That's a great point. That's a great point, especially with the mental aspect. That is a great point. I still of the notion of OKC just because OKC is very stationary, especially with the injuries that they have. OKC extremely stationary. Even if they got in the Knicks' heads, the Knicks have a way better chance versus them because it's really only Shea. They struggled so bad to score, especially in Game 7. But or really, yeah, those last few games of the series, they struggled so bad when he wasn't on the floor. And like, Mike, we come from a time of NBA where like I was telling my brother like in Game 7, I'm like, this is a game where Shea Gilgeous-Alexander needs to play 48 minutes. And he didn't, and they lost. And so in contrast to the Spurs, like I said, Mike, I just think it's so much that they can do between Fox, Castle, Harper, and then even then their ability to get downhill and feed Wemby. And Wemby, I'll say this though, the best thing for the Knicks, if the San Antonio Spurs are falling in love with the jump shots, that's their best chance to stomp on their neck. That's their best chance because Wemby has improved, uh, taking less threes. But even against OKC, he struggled when he wanted to be more like Kevin Durant than he did Will Chamberlain. So that's what we're same thing with De'Aaron Fox. When Devin Vassell is quiet, like if the Knicks can keep those guys quiet, specifically Mikal Bridges, OG Anunoby, if they can really, Wemby's gonna do his thing. Stephon Castle always finds a way to do his thing. Dylan Harper is one of the most impressive rookies in recent memory. But if you can stop Devin Vassell's outbursts, if you can keep Julian Champagnie quiet, if you can, force De'Aaron Fox to take tougher jump shots, that's when y'all get into the game, I think.
Now, one last question before I give you the ultimate question.
Okay.
Wimby, do you believe that he would be able, where he would be more apt to get caught up? Like you said, sometimes it's a win if he takes a jumper. It's a win if he takes a three. That's a win. Even if they go in, it's a win because he's not dominating down in the paint, right?
Yeah.
He's not on both sides. Do you believe with his mental acumen, with his killer instinct, that he would be allowed to fall into the trap of let's say Cat first game is lighting it up from three for some reason. Let's say first half he didn't which score he done shot 4 threes, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the game is still close, but Cat's a big man. Just the ego. Do you believe that his ego would get in the way? Like, yo, my counterpart is lighting it up from three. I could do that. Like, look at my size. Like, sure, I shot a half court with the flick of the whip. Do you think that would be yes? All right, 1 minute. Sorry. Give me 1 minute. Sorry, guys. Yeah, I know it's gonna be like a, but guess what? The reason I was like, yo, yeah.
Yeah.
My jersey just came.
There we go.
My jersey just came. Right in time. So my hat came yesterday. And I know people probably like, whoa. How you proclaim yourself to be a Knicks fan and you just getting merchandise right now? Listen, I told you I got shorts, but I'm not showing my legs on the pod. And I've had one hat that's lasted me for years, and it's actually the old school Knick logo. Because I actually like the old school Knick logo better than this logo, so I always rock that. So, but I'm not a jersey guy. I was a shirt guy. So now this can be replaced by this. Live on the pod. I got a delivery.
Yes, sir.
To follow what I was saying, because do you believe that the ego will allow Wemby to detract from his game plan if Cat goes off from three? Like, what, I could do that also. That's pretty much just the question.
Yeah, I don't think Wemby is an ego player. What I will say though is that it does kind of depend on what the Knicks defense is presenting, because that is the reason why Wemby likes to fall into the jump shots. Number one, it depends on if the defense is loading up enough to make him take those, and number two, if he's gassed like we've seen him the last few games and whatnot, if he's tired. Oh yeah, he's going to be tempted to settle for jump shots and not use that energy to drive and battle in the paint. That I see that more than him falling into an individual battle with Karl-Anthony Towns. I think Wemby is way too mature. I would be really surprised if he fell into that kind of mindset.
Okay, so that leaves us with one last question. Um, as the question says, Knicks versus Spurs. Who you got?
Yeah, I unfortunately, Mike, I do have the Spurs winning in 6 games. Like I said, I think it is the depth that is going to really be the difference here. I think again, we still, at least at right now, I don't know. We don't know about Mitchell Robinson. He might not be ready. And if that doesn't happen, that's going to be really tough. Because that's going to force the Knicks to play more small ball, which you don't exactly want to do versus Victor Wembanyama. And like I said, from my main thing is the depth though. Now I will say nobody should be surprised if the Knicks find a way to win this series though, just because of the continuity and the consistency that they've been playing with at the perfect time now. Landry Shamet going ridiculous from three versus the Cavs. Miles McBride is doing what Miles McBride does on both ends of the floor. And like we said earlier in the beginning, if Jordan Clarkson finds little pockets, like to me, the Spurs have Devin Vassell, the Knicks have Jordan Clarkson. It's the same exact impact, just used in different ways. And so that's why I just keep stressing this idea that I just think we're definitely going to see him. I think we're definitely going to see Jose Alvarado, and especially when you look at the fact that Stephon Castle has struggled with turnovers and being careless with the basketball. Y'all have the perfect person to influence him to make those silly decisions and mistakes and pressure him 94 feet. So there are definitely some good signs. I just like the Spurs a little bit better. And my somewhat bold prediction that I've been sticking with, I will say the Knicks, I think, get game one. I think they get game one on the road. I think again the 9 days off, being fresh has served them well this entire playoff run. I think the Spurs, again, as mature as they've been, they still are. This is their first time in the finals. Where even though the Knicks have a lot of first time guys, you can take advantage of that. They lost game one versus Minnesota. There were even moments versus the Blazers where the Blazers rattled off large leads only for the Spurs to come back. So like I think the Knicks can get game one. They should, in my opinion, get one of those first 2 games, but I do think the Spurs win the series in 6.
Interesting. Interesting. Matter of fact, and this is my Knicks fan that's talking, but so you don't
Yeah.
even think we pushed them to 7? So you think? So you really think we just gonna get out of here in 6?
I do. I would love a 7 game series as a fan. But I don't know if it's like I said, I think it's gonna be the health of Mitchell Robinson and the depth is what's gonna make it be 6 and not 7. If it's 7, Cat and Brunson are like destroying them.
So how I'm looking at it, how I'm taking your answer is,
Uh-huh.
if they're gonna win, they got to win in 6, because you really don't want to allow the Knicks experience factor to go into a 7th game. So it's like, all
Yeah.
right, if the Knicks are going to win, they got to win in 7. But I'm taking the Spurs in 6, because now see how I just kind of manipulated that, even though that's like I could see that. I could see that. Because I think there was a series one time in the past that I'm like, yo, if we're gonna win, we need to win in 6. We don't want to have to go someplace on the, play a game 7 at. So I
Mhm.
like the Boston series last year. Even though we went up 3-1, we couldn't allow that to go 7 games, because that
Yeah.
means the momentum would be there, and it would be in Boston, especially after we won game 1 and 2. You don't want it to go in 7. So if we're gonna win, we're gonna win in 6. So
Yep.
that's the way I need to receive it. But
Mhm.
you are entitled to your opinion. I personally, on all jokes aside, seriously, I believe I'm going to take the Knicks in 6. I mean, of course, I wasn't going to go
That's
against the
fair.
Knicks, but I'm going to take the Knicks in 6. There is one stat that I think is still alive. I don't know the exact numbers on it, but it boils down to, it's been years, if ever, um, that if we lose game 1 of a best of 7, we do not win the series.
Hmm.
So yes, game one lose large. This year we've won game one in all three series, and we're here. So sometimes it's
Good
times
point.
for patterns to be broken. Hopefully that's not the case. Hopefully we win game one. We should be able to win game one. They got 3 games. They got 3 days rest. But shoot, We've had more days off than we played games in a month. We've had 17 days off, and we played 8 games. So, like, it should be a fait accompli. But neither here nor there. We're gonna wrap this up. That brings us to the end of another edition of the Salty Thoughts of Mike Steph podcast. I'd like to thank each and every one of y'all for making me and this here podcast the one y'all choose to view and the one y'all choose to listen to. I'm not really that much of a self-promoter anymore, but just to let everybody know, I do lives after Knicks games, but not immediately after Knicks games because I'm not cloud chasing. Plus, I need a night to sleep on my thoughts and my emotions. So, as custom during this playoff run, I usually go live the afternoon after the Knicks games. Most of the time on my way to work, which maybe might not be the most safe thing, but listen, that's when I get my thoughts off. So usually it's between 3 and 3:30, I go live p.m. 3 and 3:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, Eastern Sunlight, say whatever. Y'all get the gist. Please subscribe, like, press the notification button. So when I decide to go live, or if I decide to drop something else, you will be the first ones to hear it. But most importantly, I'd like to thank the young OG for blessing my podcast once again with your presence, with your knowledge, with your friendship. More importantly, off the camera or off the court and so forth.
Yes, sir.
I truly appreciate you. You're a 3-timer. You're a 3-timer. There's only a select few that been 3-time guests on the Salty Thoughts of Mike Steph podcast, and now you are in that elite club. One of these times, one of these years, one of these months, whatever, I really had this thought about this one. I was like, Tyler might be available, and maybe I could get both of y'all because I love the dynamic between y'all two. When you're on 4AZ, when you guest on Gimmick Infringement, when he comes on to your pod, I love the dynamic between y'all two because it shines through how genuine the connections are,
Absolutely.
and in this climate, media creation, what have you, all the other words you can use, to me it's very apparent when the connection is true, when the likability with each other, the comfortability with each other is true because it shines through, and it's about community, it's about camaraderie, it's not about clicks, listens, or whatever. Yeah, that's what we do it for, but at least in my case, what I really lean on to right now is the community of being able to chop it up with and not even like-minded people, with people that I enjoy chopping it up with, and
Absolutely.
we can put some product out, yeah. So I just wanted to say that on air. You already know how I feel off air.
Yes, sir.
And yeah. So I appreciate it. Just I no matter how hard I try to get this within under an hour, it never happens. But this is the shortest podcast we've done ever. So that is a plus. That is a plus. So
I was like, we did. If you really think about it, we were doing great, Mike. Sometimes I got to get my thing off. You got to get yours. That's why they watch you. We got to sprinkle the salt.
Listen, you taught me on my appearance of Hip to the Games when you invited me over to talk about Starks in the 90s Knicks.
Yeah.
You taught me that it's never about getting your stuff in. It's about allowing things to flow. Allowing things, because sometimes those are where the jewels are hidden, is in the stuff that comes out. Especially if it's on that path, that's when the jewels hidden. If you're just like, all right, I need to get this, I need to get this, I need to get this, and chop, you're depriving the audience, but more importantly, you're depriving yourself from learning from one another. And
Exactly.
that's what I really like about this. So, um, yeah, I know. Yeah, people probably like, what's going on with Mike? Listen, Mike is constant evolution. I'll be 50 in about 2 months. Listen, how can I be stagnant when I'm 50? Yeah, the grain is starting to show. But with all that being said, I'm gonna get out of here. But you, my friend, my bro, please once again let the people know where to find you and how to get in touch with you.
Absolutely. OG, as always, it's great to join you on here. I'm gonna give you your flowers too, man. The way that you have absolutely stepped up the production game, the thumbnails, the mic, like straight up, like you've been doing your thing. And if nobody else saw it, like I'm seeing it, man. Like it's really dope to see your evolution. But yeah, and to your point, like it's a blessing. Shout out to the 19 Media Group. I mean, like shout out especially to Warren Shaw, Mo Johnson, Jabari Davis, like what they started as a network and just how naturally we've been able to just commune and unite and just naturally have similar ideas, values, morals, and things of that nature. That's an absolute blessing and a testament to what they've established from day one. So shout out to them. And definitely subscribe to the 19 Media Group YouTube. Again, you get more of Mike Steph as the football season comes around. That's where my show is as well. The Mid Post, which drops episodes. I try to stick to every Tuesday. It's been a little creative wall the last few weeks, but every Tuesday, be on the lookout for that. Follow at Mid Post Pod on Instagram and Twitter, whichever or both, whatever you're more popular on. Individually, you can do at Desmond Powell underscore as you see on the screen if you're watching. That's the TikTok, that's the Instagram, that's the Twitter. That's when I'm really tweeting and I'm getting off my stuff while watching the game. So I would definitely recommend to follow your boy on Twitter and follow the show and just keep up with everything going on with 19 Media Group, everything going on with me. And yeah. Oh, and last thing, Mike, I know you had a note here, and I just want to say this before I go. No matter what happens after this series, this New York Knicks team is stamped. Jalen Brunson is stamped. Karl-Anthony Towns is stamped. Josh Hart is. Everybody should be eaten free in New York, no matter what happens, because of the joy that this Knicks team brought back to the city. So it should be a good series, and I'm definitely excited to see how it goes.
Thank you. I'm more than willing. I'm more than ready. Shoot, let's go New York. It's been a long time. For all my New Yorkers out there, one last thing. I know we hype, we up, we amp, and everything, but please use your head. Follow your heart, but use your head. Don't don't give nobody no excuse to trick you out your freedom. That's all I'm gonna say. That's all I'm gonna say. You know, because I anyway, matter of fact, I'm gonna espouse this on my live later on, hopefully after a Nick victory, because we're gonna get out of here. So for myself and my bro Desmond Powell, check you later and goodbye.